Hey guys, how you all doing and welcome back. We got a new video set up here for you. It's gonna get posted as soon as I'm done here. So, the piece that I worked on this week, if you've seen the live streams, I highly recommend check it out too. This week I did the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR. And for anybody who may not know what that thing is, this vehicle here. So there might be a lot of people that might even recognize the vehicle in a lot of video games mostly, or that like the history of racing during the late 90s, early 2000s. So Mercedes wanted to try to compete with McLaren and Porsche during that time, and they made a race car that would compete against the McLaren P1, McLaren F1, and one of the Porsches they had. I should have wrote down the name, but anyways, so Mercedes wanted to compete, and they made a race car to do it, but they kind of classed her in. They have to make a Mulligan car, if I say the name correctly. So what they have, well, these companies have to do if they want to compete using their hand-built race cars, they have to make road versions of those race cars. So like a certain amount, would say 50 of them. And Mercedes ended up making the road version of this car, the CLK GTR, which is this is the road legal one. And that's the piece I worked on along with the anime OC Pinup. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Alright, so the first stream back in Tuesday, we pretty much got started on doing pretty much filing the sketch out and everything. This piece ended up finishing within less than a week. I mean, I am really impressed how much I did working on this, and by far one of my favorites so far. I did learn my lesson with the last anime pinup with car piece, yeah, the one with the Steve McQueen's Porsche 917K and Zenless Zone Zero's Nicole. And Nicole was by far the one that took the longest out of the whole piece, mainly due with the complexity of her design, more than anything. These guys from Zenless Zone Zero doing these designs of these characters are just phenomenal, very detailed, but not the easiest to do fan arts with. So I did something a little bit different doing the OC character. I want something simple to just like, sometimes like simple is just, sometimes less is more, you know, if you heard that phrase. So pretty much a pinup with a simple black dress, and the pinup is kind of like a redhead or like a ginger, I guess is another term for it. So like it's a mix between the traditional and the anime versions that a lot of these animators do on like shows that kind of like an orangish kind of color. I pushed the boundaries on the color a little bit and made it really pop. And I wanted to do freckles again on my OC characters. The last one I did was probably over a year ago. And it just really stand this piece out. You'll see here in a little while. But so like I did learn my lesson on this, but at the same time I did it in reverse. What I mean is Nicole was the more complex part of the picture, and the Porsche 917K is not. Now this piece, the anime girl, is the simple part of the piece, and the car is not. And so I learned, but I did it backwards, or did it the other way around. But the only way I'm gonna find out to make these pieces more efficiently is keep making more of these, keep doing this formula. And the more I do it, the quicker I can make them, and the better way of doing them. It's like no different the way I did my hair, the way I did the hair idea for the piece, for the characters, the eyelashes, and the body structure. It's like I learned better by learning on my own, and the best way of doing it is just like keep doing it over and over again. Not the same thing over and over again, but keep using that same formula on one piece to another, to another, to another. I was originally gonna do like stockings on her, but I changed my mind and not do that. I just think without it, I think it just fits great with this picture. So we pretty much got the line art done of my OC girl here. Tuesday night stream was pretty quiet, so I ended up cutting out a little early. And the way I did the hair is I forget the name of the show, but I got the idea from. This character had very, very long hair, but at the bottom of the long hair, it's cut out like evenly on the bottom. So that's what I did with that. And here we go. This is where we got started on getting the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR going. And there was the entire process of this vehicle is a lot of trial and error. You can find a lot of photos of the vehicle, but if you don't have a lot of like different angles of a vehicle that you're working on, especially something like this complexity of the design, you sometimes you'll miss different things from the design, and you'll find out either later or you forget when you're done. So I had like about 20 different photos of this vehicle. Keep forgetting to move this down. But I had to get a lot of photos, and I would say the same about anybody that likes to learn to draw vehicles and everything. You have to have a huge amount of reference images of the vehicle if you want to try to be like very accurate. In my experience, I had a lot of car guys that are just extremely picky, and they're not afraid to let you know what things you missed. Honestly, they're a lot more pickier than anime fans. Realistically, I was going through some issues at this point. For some reason, my pen is trying to do some kind of weird effect with the line art. I ended up fixing it a little bit later on, but it was weird. After the recent Windows 11 update, it really messed a whole bunch of things up on the computer. Or should I say computers? Something about Windows 11 is just so unstable when it comes to new updates. It took a little bit to do the grill, and this is the reason why I say you need a lot of reference images of the vehicle. If you don't, it's like the grill, for instance. This is what tricked me more than anything. there is a lot of like little small details on that grill piece, the chrome part of it, that I didn't see through other photos that I had at the time. So I had to get a whole bunch more just to try to figure out where some of the lines are at on the outer part of the grill and the inner part of the grill, which I thought is chromed out, but no, it's actually flat black on the inner part, and the face of the grill is all chrome. And I like what they did to this vehicle. Like, they tried to keep it very resemblance to their to their actual like cars, but try to make it a full-on supercar. It's just wild. Whoever did the design of this car, like, I tip my hat to you. It's just like, the CLK GTR is a very clean, iconic design. And it's like, even into today's standard when it comes to like vehicle design, this car will literally still stand out, and will still not really just stand out, but the design will work in today's standard. It's such a timeless design. And these cars are just so rare, so very rare. I forget how many of these things they did, but they did like just mainly the base versions of it, so like just the one that I'm working on. They had two other versions, not the race cars, but the road versions of the CLK. And the two they did, the one is a sportster kind of thing, and so no top, but it's like, it reminds me so much of the old race cars back in like the 50s. There are a lot of them that are like convertibles back then. And from what it looks like, it doesn't have like a hard top. You know, put it on and take it off whenever you want. Looks like this is a design that doesn't require a top at all. So the way they did the windshield and the side windows, it reminds me so much of those old race cars. Those, I think they only did like maybe 10 or less of those things. They're insanely rare. And the last road version, which it's the closest you can get to the actual race car, is called the CLK GTR LM. That's literally like almost a literal like race car just built for the road. So a lot more performance and everything, than the other versions. Now, they only made 2 of those in the world. One ended up getting wrecked. The only one that's still around is the one in Japan, the guy that owned it in Japan. And from what I heard, he actually like drives it still, you know. He doesn't have it stored somewhere, because like that car is worth over $20 million. I mean, once you wreck that thing, you cannot fix it, you cannot find parts for it. Once it's done, it's done. It's a literal unicorn. There is a documentary that I originally wanted to put on stream, but I was still trying to figure things out, how copyright system works. But I'll put a link of the actual documentary this guy did on YouTube on the description down below. I highly recommend checking it out if you want to learn more of this vehicle. He really digs into not just the road version of the vehicles, but the entire history of the CLK GTR, down to the very end of the life cycle of the car, where pretty much it's like a pretty big dramatic accident that happened at Le Mans during the time. So I will put the link of that video in the description. I highly recommend following this guy. Well, I'm talking about it. I'll bring the name of the channel up real quickly. But it's like, it is like a really cool vehicle that, like, you'll probably never see literally all. And this guy had a really good point on his video. The amount of difficulty to the amount of difficulty, like, not the difficulty, the rareness of the vehicle is really just as rare as finding a snow leopard in the wild. And this guy, like, he literally, like, put it towards it, definitely. And it's like, it makes sense because these things, you're never gonna find them unless you have good connections, so you know who owns it. Looks like I need to grab my keyboard. So, working on the wheels now. The wheels were a total nightmare to work on. This is probably the thing that probably took the longest out of the entire, like, the entire process of this vehicle. Very complex wheels to try to draw. But it's the nature of the beast when it comes to making these kind of pieces. But it's like, it took me a little bit to figure out how I'm gonna sketch this out. You can find some photos of it, but it's not the best.
No, this is my area, and I
Oh, here we go. The YouTube channel, which, like I said, I will be putting a link down in the description so you guys can learn a little bit about the vehicle. The channel's name is GoldWingman, and like I said, he just made such an awesome mini documentary of this vehicle and the journey of becoming the street car and the becoming of the stages of the race car. So yeah, I will be having this up so you guys can learn from him, and make sure you follow him as well. He did an amazing job. No, I did a line art for the brakes, but for how long it took to get this whole thing done, I just ditched the idea of getting the brakes in. It's like, I want to enjoy my weekend too, so I kind of want to chill after all the work I've been doing on this piece. So now we're getting into getting her hair done. I'm so happy I actually learned about that selection tool. So what I did is pretty much getting the base of the car pretty much all set, ready to go. Like that. It's like a pen tool in a way. And the green area is where you're pretty much doing your selection. Because, like, the regular wand tool or the selection tool works really good, but if you're doing very thin lines like I do and use a selection tool, sometimes whatever the color that's underneath the line art, wherever the selection tool is selecting on, it leaves the little leftovers where it didn't get erased. So make the line art look a little brighter, and or sometimes make it look really like pixelated with white or, you know, colors, whatever you didn't erase. And her hair design is not a very difficult one either. Very simple, straight hair with some hair just, you know, covering her left eye. It's like, I just like how simple the hair design is, and it still really pops when the whole thing is done. Honestly, like, doing the eyelashes and the hair is my favorite part of the process of making the characters. Getting the darker shades of the hair to make it look a little bit more detailed and dense. Cause like, I do everything in 3 steps. You know, you got your base, brighter, a little bit of darker gray for doing the more darker parts, and then the darker gray for the more like closer like to being almost like a shadow. So we got hair done. I'm happy how that turned out. Now we're getting started on doing the grayscaling on the vehicle. Very difficult to do. I mean, there's a lot of like a lot of curves that I need to like constantly look at, like the images that I got, not images, like the photos of the vehicle. And since this is just a silver vehicle, especially the color that Mercedes used, it's literally just like the shade I do with my grayscaling. So this piece in itself shows like exactly like what my grayscaling looks like on the vehicles. A very good example of the whole thing. It would be something that, you know, if I do another silver vehicle again. But it's not often I like to do those kind of like designs, the color designs. I like a lot of my reds, you know, really popping colors. But a lot of the luxury vehicles do look amazing in silver, and that's why I just left silver on this Mercedes. Which majority of them are silver. There is a handful of black ones, which they look phenomenal. And some, they're actually red. Like a very hot, like a really bright red, almost like a hot red. I didn't know there's actually one until I looked up the color codes for the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTRs, which you can look those up online. But like, when you're working on vehicles and you're trying to replicate a color of a vehicle, you gotta make sure you just kind of play around with your colors. And this is the reason why I like doing grayscaling so much. And using the gradient mapping, it really helps with getting the colors down and make it very close to the actual like factory colors they do on the vehicles. Or, you know, when someone wanted me to work on their car and they got some like really unique like pearl scent colors or something like that, color changing stuff. Gradient mapping and grayscaling is a great thing to have if you're trying to be very like accurate and correct. But yeah, this piece is a handful. So So took a break from the car and started working on the grayscaling of the anime girl. So the whole process of this point here, this is probably just a little bit before yesterday's stream. I literally worked on this thing like literally every day since Tuesday. And what I end up doing is get her pretty much prepared and pretty much ready for me to work on for Friday night. I thought that I was really ahead and I would be able to get it done Friday night, but realistically, after like, you know, getting further in during Friday night, there was no way. And we didn't even play Burnout 3 at all this week, which that's the game I'm gonna 100% play next week, and that's a promise. And next week starting Tuesday night, 10 PM Eastern Time, it's gonna be an anime fan art night, the anime fan art week. So I just needed to kind of change things up a little, kind of need to slow things down a little bit after doing the Mercedes piece. And it's not often that I get, like, lose control of my hand when drawing. I don't get that very often, but this piece was like the hardest thing to get done less than a week. The Porsche 917K wasn't a week thing, that was 2 weeks long. Realistically, this should have been 2 weeks. But I feel like I hit a milestone when it comes to making my artworks that made something in this complexity less than a week. So, if I doing the math correctly, so doing like the math correctly in my head, I started on it Tuesday night and I finished it earlier today, which for anybody that's probably watching it later, that's like Saturday night. So a little bit over 5 days. So I finished this in 5 days, and that's just wild for me. The piece that almost broke me in a way. But I like the challenge. I like myself. I like being pushed to make these, because all it does is it makes me do better on making the pieces. It just makes me feel more confident on pushing the boundaries more. So again, the darker shades on the body to try to get to the more like detailed structure of the colors and the body structure. It was definitely worth it. Excuse me. Freaking whooped. So like the whole video here is just a little over 40. It's gonna be a little over 40 minutes. And this is by far the longest video I've done in a long time. And if I don't speed it up like I do, there would have been no way I would have posted on YouTube doing real time. That's why I gotta speed it up. I mean, I have no choice to doing it. Now, we're getting to the chrome parts of the vehicle. And the headlights took me a while to figure out what they look like. Because there is like two different sets of headlights to use for for the race car and the road versions. And I was originally sketched out for the race versions headlights, not the actual stock headlights they use on the GTR. Then we get started on the rims. This is the part that what really got to me the most, is doing these like this. I mean, like, this whole vehicle in itself is just a rolling art piece. The whole thing is just a piece of art. It's just amazing design. The wheels really set it off. And then I got the interior pretty much sketched out already. And get a new light art for that. I know for a fact after this I'm going to bed. After getting this uploaded to YouTube and making the post. This is what I do when I want to do my artworks. I don't do the easy way, I always like to do the difficult way. Alright, so now we're into the Friday night stream, the final stream of the week. So pretty much got picked up back up on doing the chrome effects on the vehicle. Which is definitely a lot of fun working on the chrome on this vehicle, and there's not a lot of it, but for the way they designed the grille, and then you got the hood emblem on it. It screams luxury, but at the same time, it's very aggressive looking design. I have to look up to see who designed this vehicle and see who this guy is, because this is a phenomenal vehicle. Or team, because again, nowadays there's teams doing design work. I don't know how many of the viewers that have watching these videos that like about automotive history and racing history. Like, it's really cool seeing how they design a vehicle, because a lot of times they have to use clay to make little miniature versions of the vehicle and create like a miniature wind tunnel kind of thing to help figure out what the aerodynamics is doing. So, like the should edit that part out, but that's okay. So like the whole, like, so a lot of the companies, like the earlier days, they use like little models of the vehicle and have like a little miniature wind tunnel with a little bit of, like, I think they use like dust for flour to help visualize the movement that the air is doing on the body. Or if you want to look at like back in the 50s and 60s, the way they did is they get like a ball of wool and scotch tape, and they put it all over the vehicle. And when they drive the vehicle on the track, or the test tracks, they have like a guy that on binoculars watching the car move, and they can see by the cotton waving around, and that's how you get an idea how the wind is affecting the body and how the aerodynamics work. So like nowadays, like these companies, so they'll make like large scale versions of the vehicles, and they have actual wind tunnels now. It's just progress of automotive is just insane how much things change. So getting her shadowing going, this is where we just started into the shadowing process of the whole thing. I'm happy how she turned out. It's a really good look, a very good design on the face. Just the whole character is very simple but still very catching. And it's like I said, sometimes less is more, and I stand by that a lot when it comes to character designs and automotive design. And it's like a lot of the really big, like, really well-known characters through like animes, so, like you see a lot of them, they're actually very simple design and they're like super well-known. A good example, 02 from Darling in the Franxx. Nothing really wild when it comes to like design of 02. Just very simple pink hair, long pink hair, little horns, and a little bit like an eye color on the eyelids, almost like an eyeshadow in a way. But that's it. I mean, that's what really made the character is so like loved by fans over the world. And it's like sometimes you don't need to do a whole lot of details to your artwork just to get a reaction, to not really get a reaction, but to make it like that, to make it like a famous piece. You don't have to do like a super amount of details. You just have to figure out a formula, and you just gotta have to play around and see where it goes on the design. And we're pretty much getting to the point where we're getting to the final parts. Getting these little specks that's on the turn signal parts on the headlights. Yeah, I love the effect of the carbon fiber on the chin spoiler. And that's the only like bare carbon that's on the car, is just that front chin spoiler. Getting the shadows done on the interior. And I watched a video of a guy reviewing the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR, and to get in that car is like very tight. If you're a tall guy or a big guy, it'd be very hard to get in this vehicle. And the guy that did the video, he's not a very tall guy, or he's a very skinny guy too, and he struggled trying to get on that thing. But the whole point about these supercars and sports cars is like, it's not because like you don't have to make a like fancy luxury stuff into those cars. A lot of people mainly get these vehicles because of the way they are built, the way they are designed. And this car is like, I don't even think this thing even has like air conditioning. but like you don't need like all the fancy stuff just to make a beautiful like car like this. Alright, so now we're getting to like the parts that this is the second piece that I'm doing, that adding these specs from like the reflections from like the ceiling lights. So I got inspired by this idea from a lot of photos I've seen from the Detroit Auto Show and a lot of the big automotive custom car shows. So if you look up like custom classic cars through the Detroit Autorama, I think is what it is, they use little lights from above, and when you see the body of the vehicle reflecting it, showing the look of, showing the lights, it's really cool to look at. And it took me a long time to understand how that will work, because like depending on the body structure of the vehicle, it reflects differently. I started getting to like more like 3D modeling as of lately, so working with Blender and everything, and I started using models of like the Mercedes-Benz CLK GTR, modify the textures and everything to make it look like look like the vehicle and everything. So I made little lights above it to try to mimic that effect, and this is what I got. And when I looked at some photos of the vehicle online that did something similar like that, I actually got very like accurate. So you'll be seeing more stuff like this, and that effect in itself really made this piece stand out. So again, now again the anime OC finished up, getting her details down. Now we get to see, now pretty much doing the lighting effects on her, getting her hair color to really pop. Yeah, the freckles in there, I mean that really made this piece look so unique. I used to remember this one girl in college years ago, like she had red hair, she had a whole bunch of freckles on her face and shoulders. That's the inspiration for that. Yeah, I think that just worked out very well for this design. Add a little bit of eyeshadow, just kind of give a little bit of a pop to her face. Add a little bit of a white line on the outer side, on the edges of the vehicle, because when depending on the lightings and stuff like that, it'll leave a little white line, and sometimes it helps make the car stand out a little bit too, since the background's pretty much gray. Very much getting the actual white part, the white lighting on the hair. Cause like doing everything differently on the pieces that try to stick with Clip Studio 100%. And I used to use like Procreate all the time for doing these like light effects, but the size of this piece, the time it was done, it was 214 megabytes. It's massive. So the iPad cannot open it. Well, it can open it, but I cannot edit it. If I want to put it on Procreate, for the DPI is 800 DPI, 11 by 17. The Procreate cannot handle that. It will not let me make the file. So it took me a long time to figure out how to make this work to make the similar effects on that's from Procreate and try to do it on Clip Studio. So I had to do things differently, but I really like how different the whole look of the pictures are now. To me, I think I just really made the designs better than what I used to do. And that's the fun about being an artist, the journey of it, is you're always trying to do something different, you're always trying to make something better, you're always improving. This is why I like art so much. Like, you're always experimenting, you're always having fun trying new things out. And that's pretty much it. And my computer almost crashed for a minute there. I'm so happy that nothing happened. But that's pretty much it. So now we just go back to here. And then we got our final results of the vehicle. I totally forgot to record the final parts doing the effects of the background here. But that's okay. It only took me like 5 minutes. So I'm not too worried about it. But thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, please give this a like and subscribe. And like, this piece was one of the most difficult ones, and trying to get this one pushed big time. And if you like what you see of this video, you like to see more like behind the scenes stuff, especially like the updates, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, X, and Blue Sky under MadWorldImages. And if you like the video, and like I said, follow, like, and subscribe on my YouTube channel as well. You'll find my past streams on there too. I highly recommend checking out the other videos as well. Oh, and the link to Goalie Man is in the description, so you can watch his video on this vehicle and learn a little bit. Well, until then, guys, I'll see you guys Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time doing a VTuber fan art stream. Have an awesome night, guys, and thank you.